Okay, so two bananas are sitting on the beach, the way bananas do. And they're soaking up the rays, enjoying themselves. One banana finally turns to the other and says, we should go in the ocean. We should cool off, take a dip. The other banana says, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm not going in the water. It's crazy. It's too cold. The first banana says, come on, Petey, go in the water with me. What's it going to cost you? I don't think it's that cold. Petey says, seriously, Chuck, go fuck yourself. I'm not going in the water. They go back and forth like this for quite a while. And finally, they settle back, enjoying the sun. And then floats by in the surf there a turd. And the turd sees the two bananas there on the shore and says, hey, you two, come in the water. So Chuck turns to Pete and says, he says, the water's fine. What do you say? And Pete says, you believe that shit? Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show, episode 164, everybody, 164. That opening joke, if it's not edited out, and you did in fact hear it, courtesy of Jamie's father.
Jim Fox.
Jim Fox, who, the joke is so much better told as Jim Fox.
But that's an impression that does not carry.
It's not an impression that travels, let me just say that, outside the family walls. We have a pretty, hey, look at that shot with the mismatching background of Jamie and Sam, I believe it's Sam. See, now, but when you wave, Sam, you kind of block Jamie.
Oh, I'll use my other hand.
Yeah, there you go. That was going to be my suggestion. Well, let's get to it. Sammy, how are you?
I'm good, pal. How are you?
Well, it's our first show in March of 2013. Did you have yourself a good Black History Month?
You know, every year they get better.
Don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
It's my favorite month of the year.
Can I just say that it feels like March may also be now part of the Black History Month experience based on the fact that we sent the worm to talk to Kim Jong-un. Dennis Rodman.
Yes. Yes, we did.
He's our, so we're like, that's how we're a superpower? We're sending the worm to go talk to the crazy North Korean
He's
guy?
our Nixon.
Well, you know,
when you think about it.
If you're going to bridge a gap, who better than the worm?
Right.
How the fuck did this happen?
I think...
No, I know you know, Sam, and that's why I'm asking.
All right. Well, here's what's going on.
Okay.
Kim Jong-un is, he's trying to do the Wiz. Remember the...
As a tour?
Yeah, he's trying to put that together again.
Right.
And he's going with Rodman as the Scarecrow.
Scarecrow?
Yeah.
Not the lead,
no.
You're saying?
No, he's stronger as a supporting.
Well, I think... Jordan might agree with you there. By that I mean the River Jordan. Now, Jamie.
Yes,
what do you think about the worm?
I have no idea. I'm so terrible. I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I must have been living.
It's an inside joke at our house. We are so off the beaten track with the current events. It is on a need-to-care basis, and we just...
That's not my area on my trivia team. I don't have to do that.
We've never been one of those crack the paper in the morning people.
Yeah.
You know, and now...
Well, we also had been, we weren't off the grid for 5 days.
We were in the Bahamas.
You were.
We were.
We were off the grid. I did not turn my phone on for 5 days. It was awesome.
For you kids out there who are thinking about a career in stand-up comedy, let me just tell you, corporate gig, that's what it's all about. Fuck getting on the Tonight Show or Letterman or any of these other things and putting out your stand-up specials. Get yourself a corporate gig in the Bahamas. Seriously, make that the goal. If not, I'm not saying we should be goal-oriented because that's crazy talk.
No.
But if you really want to set one, make that a corporate gig in the Bahamas because it was lazy river every day, a couple times a day.
Really?
Are you familiar with the lazy river, Sam?
I'm not.
No?
No, I've never been to the
Tell you how it
Bahamas.
works. You go to white trash Mecca, in this case the Atlantis Resort.
Sure.
Yeah. And they have a cement path, if you will, called the lazy river. Rushing water at points, lazy at others. You're in an inner tube.
Yeah.
And even an old timer like me, just laughing uncontrollably at the absurd nature of rapids under my ass in this inner tube going down this lazy river that winds through the property of the Atlantis. Yeah. And you're bumping into people and you don't want to talk to them.
I'm going to put the over-under of amount of fat, white teenage boys wearing T-shirts with their bathing suits while in the lazy river. I'm going to put it at 45.
Per day?
Per hour.
There's a South Park about that.
You only spend a couple hours there. So per visit, you're saying 45?
Sure.
Jamie, you want to take the over or the under?
You want the over?
He's set a great line, by
I
the
said
way.
I'm going to take the under.
I take the over. That's right. Good call, Sammy.
Thanks, buddy.
Can't get me enough of the pasty. We were just laughing ourselves sick every time one of these idiots went in the drink, by the way.
That was my favorite.
Because, at times you get a little bit of a current going. And
How about our friend that we made?
Potential, you could topple. Pete.
I don't know what is this
Cross-eyed
kid.
Pete.
I don't know what his name
That
was.
is his name.
But
You want to serve it up, or should I?
oh no, you got to do. He was
Okay,
trying.
so this happens. We're going down this one path that takes you ultimately up a thing, and then you race down another
water
crazy
slide.
So as we're going down the little path, which is quite calm, this kid comes up behind us, and he's tailgating, and then engages us in a conversation thusly. Hey, you guys been on the slide yet? Have you been on the big slide yet? Oh, you're going to love it. I don't want to give it away what it is. He's about 8 years old.
Sure.
Bless him. Hasn't had the corrective lenses put in yet. But I don't want to give it away what it is, but I'm just going to say you're going to love it. And it continued to talk. I guess not a lot of 8-year-olds have an inner monologue, so I didn't want to suggest maybe some of these thoughts are best kept.
Sure.
And he talked us through the next 11 minutes, maybe, till we were...
And then he ditched us.
And then he would say, okay, have fun, and he was gone.
Ditched us to go on the taller slide.
Yeah.
Never saw him again.
But it sure was a yabba dabba do.
Wow.
We got to play with the sea lion.
We did. They have a Dolphin Cove, Dolphin K, C-A-Y, and then off the side, the star of Andre the...
Seal. But she was
is,
a
in
sea
fact,
lion
A sea lion.
named
I
Cassandra.
felt lied to and cheated.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, the 2008 film, 2009, when that film come out. Sammy, you would know. You're the king.
Andre? The movie Andre?
Andre the Seal, yes, Andre.
That is much longer ago. That was a while. I think Tina Majorino was in that one. If I'm not
2003, 2004? What are we talking?
I would say
90s?
90s.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't that old.
All right.
Sammy, you want to make a call on this? Because you are the expert.
My guess is she was a child. So this is pre Napoleon. So that was what 2003.
Hey, Mrs. Columbo, I don't care how you get there. Just give me a
Andre
number.
is the name of the
Oh, it's just named Andre.
Oh, you're going to look it up, you're out.
We're going to look it up.
I'm
It's
no
all right.
longer
It's all right.
interested.
This is why we have the internet. This is why
Sammy,
we have this.
can you tell us from last year, the end of the year?
94.
94? Under the Sea was 94?
Guys, this is. I mean,
We're almost at the 20-year anniversary, for fuck's sake.
yeah.
Unacceptable.
I think they're going to put it on DVD.
I think they lied. I don't think that could have been the same scene. I don't think she was that old.
No, they said the seal was 17. They did lie.
They lied.
That's how we find out. This is how we find out? Sammy, VH1 Top 100 Kid Stars of the last 20 years
I don't know what you're talking about.
featured you. This came out in December.
It did.
VH1 Top 100 Kid Stars.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the kid star as a term. I'm
You
not
think
comfortable.
it's regardless of age, you're either a star or you're not. I don't care how old you are.
No, I'm going to hold on old school child star.
You want to put Shirley Temple and Morgan Freeman in the same category.
Always. Different argument.
Right.
I'm saying child star is acceptable. Kid
Yeah.
star, I'm offended by the word kid in this usage.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's belittling.
I'll let Victor Howard the First. That's VH1. I'll let him know.
Is that what VH1
That is
stands
what,
for?
believe it or not. Yeah.
I always thought it was,
Yeah, it's Victor Howard the First.
video hologram.
No,
or
no,
video
no.
hits.
No, it's Victor Howard the First. It's weird to name yourself the first, but he took a shot.
I have breaking
Expecting any
news.
offspring. Yes.
Brace yourselves. If you're listening or watching this on or after March 14th, please welcome us to and them to us. We are now a part of the Earwolf Network. Please be seated.
You got to say it like Earwolf.
I was counting on you for that, and thank you.
I'm a fan.
We've partnered up a long time, not long, Jamie's been a long time listener of the Earwolf Nation. I am a newer fan and devoted. Drove to and from back to the Palm Desert. And listened to the Comedy Bang Bang both ways, all the way. Got
Can't go
myself some Manzukis along the way.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. A little Paul F. Tompkins, fantastic. Love the Earwolf, and now proud to say, if you're getting this on or after March 14th, that's the big announcement. It's a soft opening, because technically we're doing this on March 3rd. I'm not going to lie to you. Why start now? March 14th, 1 week shy of our 4-year anniversary. I'm just saying. Party and cake and
bad.
details to come.
That's not bad.
All right. My guest today, I'm unbelievably excited because he is a multi-talented, multi-faceted, hyphened son of a bitch that I've been a fan of for quite a long time. Once again, the fine folks at Twitter, the followers, the Funkadelics on the Twitter, I think yelled at him to come on the show. He was kind enough to say, all right. And then I followed it with, yes, please, really? And we've now booked maybe 50 guests, thusly. So thank you, Twitter followers, once again, or non-followers who just started the campaign. And the last piece of business I guess I'm supposed to tell you is that if you're on your way to Amazon.com and you want to support the show painlessly, give us 4 seconds of your life. Click through our homepage, kevinpollakchatro.com. Click through. We got the Amazon banner. You click through there, take you right to the homepage of Amazon. Took you 4 seconds, and they sent us, I believe, a penny. So if maybe 75 million of you can do it, that'd be great.
That'd be great.
It'd be helpful. Write to us if you would. Contact at kevinpollakchatro.com. Let us know how excited you are about the Earwolf. Let us know how you take in the show. Do you watch? Do you listen? Where do you do each or either? Write to us. Contact at kevinpollakchatro.com. We'd love to read your emails on the show. Also, send us your Larry King games. Go to the archives, Larry King game at the site to look up what the fuck I'm talking about if you're not familiar. Our guest will become more familiar by the end of the show when he is asked to do his very own Larry King game. We'll re-explain it then. We're going to take in your questions as we stream live here on March 3rd. Jamie has sent a couple tweet fives. We're going to put those to our guest in a bit, so thank you for that. Here we go. My first question, as I welcome our guest to the proceedings. Welcome, Mr. Mark Duplass. Were you in fact born in the bayou?
Yes,
All right. We're off and running.
we are off and running.
Thank you so much, first of all. Can
Thank
I get you
you.
some more water?
No, I'm doing great.
You
here.
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
If I drink too much, I'll pee.
Yeah. I think we've done that once in 164 shows. Where
Someone has
had-
gone to pee or peed on themselves.
Well, actually, technically one of each.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me the ages of each person, because I'm curious.
Late 60s, early 70s. So you're in good.
Those 5 years make a big difference,
They really
don't they?
do.
All right,
When
fair
it comes
enough.
to that.
I'll keep that on the brain.
Yeah. Tell us about, first of all, if you don't mind, I've
Yeah.
not talked to many people who were raised in the New Orleans area.
Okay.
From the research, it says something about the word suburb,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think of New Orleans proper in my mind
Yeah.
as a suburb. It feels more like a township.
Yeah, I am. My story's a little less cool and dripping with Cajun aroma than the average New Orleans-born
Hello.
person. So,
You got me?
all right, I got you. Great. I grew up in a town called Metairie, which is just like a few miles west of the city, and it's an older suburb, and so it's not like McMansions and stuff like that. It feels like a normal neighborhood, but it feels like the Midwest in Metairie.
Wow.
Kids on bikes, playing in the street, very safe. But then when you're like 8 or 9 years old, someone's older brother takes you in a car and you make your way to Midtown or Uptown or, most importantly, downtown into the French Quarter, and then everything changes.
How far of a journey is that?
It's about 4 or 5 miles.
So you technically could walk.
Metairie is
Certainly
the Truman Show, okay?
Oh,
and
wow.
you're there, and your parents don't want you going there.
And you're 5 miles.
And you're 5 miles
shit.
from it. And right when you start getting old enough to go to Mardi Gras, your parents start taking you on vacations during Mardi Gras because they don't want you near it.
Where was your first vacation of memory that you were aware that Mardi Gras was going on? Where did you, in fact, go?
We were in Colorado.
Sure.
We were skiing. Had a broken leg. Heart was playing on the radio like crazy that year. It was just one of those years where Heart was dominating the airwaves. And my brother did not want to be there. He's 4 years older than me. And that was why. He knew that there was Mardi Gras, there were floats, there were free things being thrown from the floats, and rumor had it, burning through his school, boobs occasionally appeared.
Right.
So we got excited.
You would think you'd get together with some friends and get yourself some beads.
And that was the next year, and that's how it starts. That's how it starts. You're ahead of the curve already.
How old were you in that real well? At my age, I should be.
Yeah. Well, everything's advanced in New Orleans. You know, I mean, it happens real quick.
7 or 8, 9.
I think when I was like 8 or 9, we were starting to like
hear the word,
drink beer,
sure.
and then by the time I was 10, it was like, okay, we're smoking, and then you drive at 15 there. So Jay got his car when I was like 11, and then by the time I was 11, we were able to access everything. But it wasn't all just debauchery and boobs. There's great music and there's stuff too. So
not when you're 10 so much. Are you aware of the great music?
Yeah, you kind of are. And I'd say,
is it jazz or is it?
It's everything. I mean, there's at the time. Say when I was 10, it was like 1987 or so. What it was mostly about was there's this area of town called Faubourg-Marigny, which was kind of dangerous on the north end of the quarter. And you could see these really weird Brazilian bands and really interesting jazz shows and great funk shows. And it was really just me seeing 16 and 17-year-olds and wanting to be like them and seeing what they were doing. So,
outdoor venues? How are you?
Yeah, a lot of that. So we would just do, and I mean, God, there's stories, just ridiculous stuff. We used to like put fake beards on our faces, like with our mom's like shaded like makeup, and that would get us beer basically in the store because they just didn't care. And I would say by the time I was like 12 or 13, we were deeply into drugs, recreational drugs, but pot and
heroin,
shrooms, and yeah, of course, a little, just the easy stuff, And then something weird happens to you there, which is that by the time I was 15 or 16,
white slavery.
No, that was later.
Oh.
Actually, that was later. You get done with it very quickly. By the time you're 16 in New Orleans, it's like your senior year of college, where you're like, I'm kind of done with this whole thing, this partying, and I want to start my career,
Or your life.
Or your life. So I got very serious at an early age, and there was a movie theater in New Orleans called Movie Pictures at the time, Pitchers, and it was one of the first view and brew movie theaters around.
Wow.
And they would show second-run art house movies. And when I was like 15 or so and got my license, I would just go there and watch whatever they curated. And I saw My Own Private Idaho, and I saw Clerks, and I saw Shortcuts, and all these great movies, and they just kind of like curated me, and that's one of the big things that started us getting into filmmaking.
I would think so.
Yeah.
What drove you to that theater initially? Something started before. Your father, Larry, put a camera in your hands when you were younger.
Pretty young, yeah. But it wasn't like, I want my boys to be artists.
No, of course
It was like, look at this fucking cool technology. No, it was just like an 80s guy, and he had a Porsche, and he's like, look at this camera, like sharper image, it's that kind of thing. And so he planned on using it to document the family, but he never did. And Jay was always super smart. Jay's a razor sharp kid, my older brother. And so he broke it out, and I think that camera came really early. I was about 7, maybe 6 or 7.
Wow.
And the way it worked is it was a big, it wasn't like what we have now. It was the honker,
Giant thing on your shoulder.
On the shoulder, and the cable had to go directly into a VCR because we were recording onto VHS
Which
tapes.
is on a strap on the other
strap
shoulder.
over the shoulder. Yes,
Right.
exactly. So he would occasionally lug that thing around, and I was too young to do anything really technical, so I became the actor in front of the camera, and we started making weird little movies, and they were all terrible, and they remained terrible for 21, 22 years. I wish I was kidding. I really do. But they stayed bad for a really long time.
Well, finally, one of these horrible films, shot mostly or entirely in the living room. The one that brought you to Sundance.
Oh, the one that brought us to Sundance was a yeah. I mean, it was crazy because everybody, I think, has a misperception of I guess the rise of my and Jay's career in terms of they do this handheld camera work and it looks so fun and.
Well, the research suggests something different. That you attempted something bigger in your creative mind that ended disastrously.
Disastrously is a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
A polite way of putting it.
Polite way of putting it.
It was considerably worse and more painful than
for
disaster.
us. Yeah, we when we were when I was 20 and Jay was 23.
You guys are in Austin, Texas.
We're living in Austin, and this was before you could edit on Final Cut for cheap on your laptop. Edit systems were expensive. So we sold our cars, and we bought an edit system, and we decided we're going to edit all the cheap movies in Austin, because that was a generation that was inspired by Richard Linklater and Robert Rodriguez, and everybody was making movies, So we would edit for $5 an hour on our cheap little edit system.
So everyone wanted you.
And everybody wanted us. And so we learned over and over and over again, what not to do, but we hadn't quite yet learned what to do. We just learned a lot of no's.
You knew about pace, you knew about
angles. You get some things, but still we no vision necessarily. And then we got lucky. This was during the big .com boom. This was right around 1999 or so. Garden.com was this Fortune 500 company that started out of Austin, and they wanted to make a gardening documentary, and so we're like, yeah, we'll do it for you got to give us $1 million, and they're like, okay. So they gave us $1 million to go make this movie.
Oh my.
Which we paid all of our friends with and hired us, everybody made $100,000, and it was amazing. It was incredible, and we socked some away, and my brother and I took about $70,000 of that to make our magnum opus, our big feature film. This was going to be our break.
Right.
Which was a film called Vince Del Rio.
Right.
Which I now realize was pretty much a direct rip-off of Rocky. Kind of a dramatic sports film where you fist pump for the guy to win. I played a runner from South Texas, even though I really didn't look like that in any way, shape, or form.
But you ran track.
I ran track, but anyway. Everything about the movie was from, I would say, an intellectual standpoint, and I'll get more to that in a second. But it was things that we had conceived in our minds that we thought would make a cool movie, as opposed to something...
You mean like moments that add up to cool?
I mean everything. I mean the wardrobe, I mean the moments, I mean the scenes, I mean the script, I mean the direction, I mean the shot choices. It was a completely external process of very film student type problems, I find, which is that just intensely derivative of things we had seen and thought, that makes a cool movie, right? We'll just do that.
Wow.
And we put it together, and it was a pretty well-polished, proficient piece of shit, And it was a hamburger with really nice...
You said proficient, though.
It was proficient.
So you ran the crew.
It made sense.
Felt like you could do that.
Yeah. We followed all the rules. I got a first AD. I got a sound guy. I got the right lighting guy, and we did the right contrast ratio. And it was a well-polished turd. Is exactly what it was, and it sent us into a very deep depression.
It landed with a resounding, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, for us and for everyone we tested it on too, you know. And I think we could have probably gotten into the Colorado local film festival or something, but we didn't want to start that way, so we just buried the film.
You knew.
We knew.
You stepped away from the unbiased blinders.
Yeah, we knew. I mean, yeah, it
Or
was
rather, completely
obvious
biased
enough.
blinders. Yeah. I mean, that sort of self-awareness doesn't come after putting in that work. I mean, is it because part of you also deals with rampant insecurities that it was easy for you to look for these?
No, it wasn't like, oh, I'm so like on myself or on my problems that I can see it. It was literally my artistic life was fairly developed at that point. I was.
I mean, were you hopeful when you saw it in its first presentable cut?
We felt it while we were making the movie. We kind of knew it was happening, but it was our first time making a movie, so we didn't really know if that's how you should feel, or if it was a problem or doubt or what. Now we know.
But from such great failures, we've learned as a civilization, if you still have determination and desire inside.
And desperation. This is key.
Let's factor in desperation.
Desperation. For independent film, desperation.
Right.
Very important.
You guys are at the absolute bottom, this horrible failure.
So we were in our apartment that we shared in Austin.
You're watching a shit ton of movies.
Watching a lot of movies.
Fargo,
yeah,
I think, jumpstarts.
Yeah, we were watching Fargo and just how specific their vision was, and we realized we're never going to be the Coen brothers. You're never going to beat the Coen brothers at their own game. And why are we trying to make movies about things that we don't really implicitly understand and know? And that got us kind of excited for a second. And we just got around to thinking, like, we're funny at parties. Like, people like us, and we can make people laugh. And we have a brand of humor that's kind of like, it's about relationships and how our relationships are kind of sad and kind of funny. And people connect to that, and we feel that when we start talking about that. Why have we not made art about that? Like, why don't we just, like, derive art from us, from our zhuzh, you know? And that felt pretty good. And the dynamic between myself and my brother has been this way since we were little, which is I'm the bull and he's the brakes. He is, well, I don't know if we're ready yet, and I'm always like, we're ready, let's go. And left to my own devices, I would make 10 shitty movies a year because I moved too quickly. And left to Jay's own devices, he would make half of the greatest movie of all time, and then he would die because it would never get done. So we're a nice blend.
Yeah.
So I was pushing. I was like, we got to do something. We got to find something. We got to do something. We're going to shoot today like we did when we were little. We're just going to pick up the video camera. And he's like, well, we don't have our crew and our lights. And I was just like, fuck all that. Like, that may be where we went wrong. We need to be little kids for a second, you know? And I was like, what's a story that you told that was interesting or something that happened to you that feels like us? And immediately before he could think, he was like, oh, when I was recording the outgoing greeting of my answering machine for Vince Del Rio, I almost had an emotional breakdown because it took me 2 hours to get it right for fear of representing myself poorly, you know? And it just like hit me in the head, and I was like, that's it.
Wow.
It's really sad, it's really desperate, it's really funny. This is what we laugh about. So I was like, I'm going out the door, get the camera, I'm coming in the kitchen. He's like, what are you? I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna improvise it and we'll just see what happens. So I came in the door and he filmed me, you know, no lighting, the onboard camera mic, you know, and we recorded one 20-minute improvised take. And I was excited and kind of emotional, and I had this weird teary moment that I didn't think I was capable of. And then we just jump cut the thing down to 8 minutes. The ugliest, most poor sounding short film I've ever seen, with a dead pixel in the middle of it. That cost $3, and that was our first movie that got into Sundance.
When you say dead pixel in the middle of it, for those not of the savvy, the fuck are you? What do you mean by that?
I'm talking about you're watching an image, and literally part of the camera is broken, so that every time the camera moves around, there's just this annoying white spot in the middle of it. That
it happened in the capturing
of the film. Yeah,
because the camera
was so shitty and broken.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and I learned basically all I needed to learn about filmmaking for me, and it's the thing that I try to impart. And it's basically that a filmmaking essentially is a story and an actor. Now, if you're trying to make a Terrence Malick movie, I get it. It's a different kind of thing. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about a human experience film. And so that very ethic, we've held on to this day, and we have never strayed from it. Try to keep the crew small, try to keep the concentration just on the actor and just on the story, willing to improvise. If the script is not working, try to find it.
Your whole style, your whole chi came out of that desperate,
that
horrible,
weird little moment. Yeah.
And that awful pixel missing in the middle 8-minute improvised $3 film debuted at Sundance. Okay, so who thought between the two of you, this is truthful and honest and at times funny, looks like shit, sounds like shit, let's send it to Sundance?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stories of let's send it to Sundance on a lark just to see, you know. We didn't have any proof. It really was the lark. Like, let's just see. There's something deep in our gut was like, there's something inspired and interesting about this, but we were too mired in our film school education to believe that something so unpolished could even be called a film, you know, because it was just so raw.
Right.
And, you know, this is not like shooting on a 5D now, for those of you filmmakers out there who know. Technology now, you can make something really good looking for cheap. This was 2002, when cheap was shitty, and that's all there was to it, you know. And so we, you know, it was just a lark, and I thought it was a joke when they called us and told us that we were in. I literally thought it was one of my friends calling me, and I was just like, don't fuck with me right now.
Right.
And you know, we cried for about 2 days straight, and then our careers happened from there. We had the ugliest film at Sundance, so we were insecure going into it. And then our short won the audience award at the festival, and we signed our agents out of there, and it just kept reconfirming what I was figuring out, was just that, like, oh, they don't give a shit. Like, they want to see that you can handle performances and a story. And then within a couple of months, we were, you know, financially stable, successful filmmakers. It was crazy.
Within a couple of months?
Yeah, we'd signed our first script deal with Universal, and you know, it's those moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, when are they going to figure out that we're frauds? Like, when are they going to know?
Does that ever completely go away? Because it hasn't gone away from me.
Yeah, it doesn't go away from me, because, you know, as you keep escalating and you get something bigger that you didn't hope you'd get, that happens, you know. But, and I don't know if you've experienced this at all, that was 10 years ago for me that happened, you know. And now I'm at the place where I find myself, you know, going to screening rooms with people, and I'm like watching a rough cut of a person's film whose films I used to watch at home on DVD, you know, and I'm like, I actually know how to fix this.
Wow.
Do you ever have those moments where you're
Yes.
like, you know what? Maybe I actually do belong a little bit.
Right.
So it wavers.
Right. I want to return to this, but first we're going to take a little break for our sponsors, if you don't mind.
Yes, let's sponsor up.
It's going to be about 90 seconds. That's all we ask. And then we'll come right back to this. So please don't move. I mean, unless you have to get up and run to the bathroom.
I'm just going to meditate.
Which we'll have time to do, I'm sure.
I'm going to shut down for 90 seconds.
All right, we'll be right back with my guest, Mark Duplass. Don't go away.
Hey, you gotta pick up some brand new stuff from the Earwolf store. Our online shop has Earwolf hoodies, t-shirts, posters, digital downloads, other things.
It's a great selection from the dedicated Airwolf fan, and there's something for everyone.
And you can still grab our handy 2013 Earwolf calendar before they run out. Each month features graphics and quotes from your favorite Earwolf shows. It's the perfect accessory for your office, home, or anywhere else where you need to look up and remember what day it is. It's discounted to $7 and well worth it.
Head over to the store at airwolf.com. Everything is easy to navigate, so your shopping experience will be quick, simple, and convenient.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for shopping Earwolf.
Jesus, what was that? You got a white cup down? What?
That's just booze.
What's in there, man?
Which,
and why
by
did you not offer any to me?
Which, by the way, actually, it's just coffee, which we did offer.
That's really weird, man. That's really weird.
I told your people we could have booze here for you, and they didn't respond. We found out Billy Bob Thornton enjoys the Bud Light. Had a 12-pack waiting before he showed up.
How do you do with that?
Drank most of it. Seth MacFarlane enjoys the Jack Daniels. Had a fifth waiting, maybe a quart, and he drank for 2 hours.
Great.
So, but your people said we want to keep Mark away from booze.
Or I thought they didn't get back to you. Which is, we want to keep Mark away from booze.
I think that was a signal I got.
Well, the thing is, I don't have people. So this whole thing is a fraud.
All right.
Next question.
Here's my question for you,
question.
sir. Safety not guaranteed. Love, 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 love. Why did you feel the need to rip Daryl Hannah off when you acted the moment of not knowing what sarcasm was, which she did so eloquently in Splash?
Yes.
So that was something you gave in a previous interview that I enjoyed very much from JMax Research in your dossier, sir. The bigger question is, when I first worked with the now Academy Award-winning Christopher McQuarrie on the film of The Suspects, where Stephen Baldwin proves he was capable of being good just the once. Writers steal from each other without a pause. Stand-up comedians, there's this crazy level of, and stand-up comedians way more competitive than any other art form.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think that probably fuels a lot of the hatred towards thievery, the competitiveness behind it. Actors are inspired and influenced. I have myself felt moments of hitting something just sweet, and then later, whether it's hours, weeks, or months, realizing that moment was in fact inspired by something that I had seen. So when I read that quote of yours, I thought, fantastic, I'm not alone in this. And I also realized I hadn't really talked to anyone, any other actors, about that.
Yeah. Was that an improvised moment, the one that you were just discussing?
Here's the beauty. For you, it was improvised. So you had a sense memory that you weren't even aware of in the moment.
Correct.
But rather an improvised beat just was crystal clear and made sense to you of your character not understanding sarcasm. Did you, in fact, intellectualize at least that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. The answer is I had no idea I was doing it at the time. When I was in that moment, I had an impulse to say, why does your voice sound like that?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? As it was referencing sarcasm. That seemed right to me. That seemed like a sweet, interesting, funny moment. It just zapped in my brain and it came right out, right? It was a couple of weeks later that I realized, oh, that's Daryl Hannah from Splash.
On your own?
On my own, completely on my own, yes. Now, that is by no means the first time that has happened to me, and not the first time that I've recognized it. And I've also done it as a writer as well. I've written things in the script that are bastardizations or borrowings, things from other films.
Not realizing it in the time.
Not realizing it at the time.
Right.
I am 100% comfortable with this, and I'm 100% comfortable with someone doing it to me.
Sure.
Usually, it's one step away from the form, i.e., Splash is very different than Safety Not Guaranteed. My character was very different than Daryl Hannah's character. If I were playing a female mermaid in a rom-com, I would say you're borderline plagiarizing, you know? But this is going to sound way more pretentious than I want it to, but my first career, I was a musician, is what I did mostly before I became a filmmaker, you know? And I went to jazz school and I studied classical music, and I played in a lo-fi indie rock trio. And so I would steal all these little songs and rounds and all these little weird jazz riffs, and I would throw them on a Casio keyboard, you know, and a drum kit with 2 kick drums. And it was cool to me because they were transposed there, you know, and no one would ever know, and I didn't feel like I was ripping anything off. So that happens to me a lot as a performer, to your point, borrowing things from other movies. And I've watched so many movies, Kevin. I mean, it's really disturbing. It's what I do every night still with my wife.
I follow you on Twitter, and I see your Netflix recommendations. Which
I'm ridiculous.
I think it's fantastic.
I love movies so fucking much. I just love them so much, and I see them multiple times, and they're ingrained in me. So I can't even tell when I'm doing it a lot of times.
Sure.
I don't realize it till like a month later.
Right.
But I've come to accept it, and you know, I'm probably too young to have someone have done it to me just yet.
It'll happen before you know it if it hasn't already.
Right, yeah.
If it hasn't already, seriously. But I wanted to speak to, and you have, and we are, the point of inspiration, which is I think at the core of all of it. You know, for physical comedians, you don't know what you're doing unless you've seen a young Jerry Lewis or Charlie Chaplin or the myriad others. You literally, it's a science you must learn. And I can easily be right back to being 5, 6 years old and aping some physical humor, dropping to one knee and saying, "Mammy," because I saw. So it's all inspired. How you then find a unique and original voice from all the inspiration, or in your case, all the films that you've seen. That to me is the art form. That to me is the miracle, if in fact a miracle occurs.
We are robbing banks, but then we launder that money,
Right.
and we turn it into something else.
You turn it into your own enterprise.
Yeah.
So in dealing with a movie as great as Safety Not Guaranteed, you and your brother Jay, who work together often as writers and filmmakers, Safety Not Guaranteed was a film that you star in and the two of you produced. You did not write or direct. I only discovered this from the research. I hadn't stopped while I was enjoying it after, and I enjoyed it to, in fact, research it at the time. I foolishly assumed because I knew you guys as filmmakers. So how did these guys approach you? Did they approach the two of you, or you as an actor? And then how did you and your brother Jay, I love this part of the research, were you able to convince these young filmmakers to not go after the big bucks and make it on a dime so that you could make it right away?
Well, that's real easy. That has been very, very easy because Jay and I, for better or for worse, are known as the people, if you can't get your movie made for the dream that you set out for, which is usually a ridiculously unrealistic dream of budget and actors, and your heart is broken because you've been sitting around for 2 years like an idiot waiting to make your movie for that price and that dream, we will make it happen for you. We are used car salesmen in that way. But I have no agenda other than I just want to fucking make great movies. And so I never thought that I would be a producer at all. It's hard enough writing, directing, acting in movies. But I found myself kind of having lucked into a model of making films that is just really cheap because my brother and I did not grow up in the industry. We had no understanding of how the industry works. We are cavemen. When I make up a budget for a film, I don't get the budgeting software out. I pull out a Microsoft Word document and I say, gas, $400. Camera rental, $200. And my budget looks like that, you know? And I mean, people laugh who know how real movies are made when they see how I do things. And they're like, you can't do this crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but I can make my movies cheap and I get them done because I just made up some system,
right.
You know? And that I started realizing people were like, will you come speak on our panels and talk about this? And I was like, oh, kind of like you were saying with your podcast. You're like, am I at the forefront of something here maybe? Or, you know, and so in the case of Safety Not Guaranteed, these filmmakers had Jake Johnson and Aubrey Plaza attached before either of them were. Jake wasn't even on a show, and Aubrey was maybe like on the first year of her TV show, and so nobody would give them any money. And they asked me to play the lead role, and I said, great, and they said, well, let's try and go get $2 million. And I said, you're fucking crazy. We're not going to get that money, and we're going to sit around forever, you know? What we can do is, Jay and I will vouch for this movie and tell the financiers we'll be there, walking it through post-production, making sure the cuts are good, and we can get probably $750,000 to make the film. And none of us will make any money, but in success, we will. And I believe in that more than just to get your movie made. And this is crazy, and some people don't like to hear me say this, but I believe in fiscal responsibility as independent filmmakers because it's not all about us trying to fuck over Fox Searchlight to get us as much money as we can. Fox Searchlight needs to be in business so that we can make movies, right. And there's a symmetry here, okay? So if we can make a movie for $750,000 and we sell it for $1 million and get a little back end, we make a little bit of money, they make a little bit of money, we got a great relationship. Next year, guess what? We all want to make a movie together again. Right. You try and ask for $5 million on that, you lose money, they're gone, you're gone. You know, and so I really just believe in under forecasting and overperforming. I've never made a movie that has lost money because I just make them cheaply, basically.
So you're saying you didn't lose money on the $3 film?
No, I made money on it. I did make money on that. Actually, we made about 10 grand on that movie. That's a big profit. I'm gonna go ahead and say
percentage-wise, that may be the biggest profit.
3,333% profit.
That's George Lucas, first Star Wars, sort of level of percentage.
Keyword.
Yes, well, that's the only word.
All right, that's the only thing that works for us here.
That matters in this comparison.
Yeah.
So, when you're used to also writing and directing, filmmaking, and you are cast and lead, and you do convince these guys to make it for a dime instead of 65 times, are you able to literally separate your producing mind, and how easy is it for you to just be a child in the sandbox once the cameras are rolling?
Well, that never happens. I'm never just going to be a child in the sandbox, and I don't expect that of myself. And quite honestly, I don't think people hire me to just be a child in the sandbox. Part of the reason they want me there is I work with a lot of first-time directors, so I can be a little bit of a backup here and there, you know? And I've learned some things making shitty movies over the years, and I've learned some things even in the, you know, films that I think work. And I'm a big believer in options, you know?
Yep.
And so for me, the essence of it is, okay, first-time director gets on set, what do? First thing they do, pretend like they know everything because they're insecure that they don't know anything.
Yep.
So they do things like, this is the only angle I need for this because I know what I want and I'm good. And I can there be say, I've made enough movies to know we don't know shit, okay? You may think you want this, and that's great right now, but what happens when your lead character is not testing well and you need something else later on? So let's get this, and so let's get this. And then occasionally I do improvise scenes that are not working in the script, so I have an upfront conversation with the writer, which is like, I'm going to give you every effort I can to make this thing work here, and you will never be in the editing room without a scripted version of your scene. That being said, if something's not working out, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to have that too.
Right.
So I'm kind of a throw it against the wall and see what sticks type person, and I've been beaten down enough in post-production to know that I am not the kind of filmmaker who can see a film frame for frame, 90 minutes all the way through like I think Spielberg does, and execute that thing. I galvanize a bunch of inspired footage and a bunch of options, and I get it onto the computer, and then over the next 6 months, we go into the math part of the creative brain, and we try and execute a film that reads.
Yeah, I mean, I worked a little with Christopher Guest, and I think there was 900 hours on Waiting for God.
That's not dissimilar. Christopher Guest is, in some ways, has an easier job because there's really very little emotional content for the film. There's very little emotional journey going on. It's really about like getting the most inspired moments and stringing them up for the laughs. You know,
Absolutely.
A movie like Safety Not Guaranteed moves in and out of comedy and adventure and a little intrigue, and then hopefully there's something moving there and has something to say. So that sort of tonal management, I just believe it's impossible to predict that while you're shooting. You know, Jay and I make these jokes now, but it's true. It's like, we don't leave our sets anymore without taking all of our lead actors and putting them in a car and making them drive with a relatively sad face, a relatively normal face, and a relatively happy face. And I make them do it in different outfits, and I make them sit on a curb or on a bench and do that as well, because I know at a certain point I'm going to need to employ a montage to get me through a moment for something that's not working.
Is that right?
And I call it my editor tone, you know? And so the more experience I get as a filmmaker tells me you have to get fucking lucky to make a great movie. So you need to arm yourself with as many options as possible when you get there. That's me and my.
And it's all I've always heard: prep, and prep.
I don't believe in that.
Good, because I hate prep.
Yeah, because I hate prep. For me in my process, you know, I don't do any rehearsals. I really like improvising a lot, and I'd say anywhere from 30 to 40% of what you see in my movies comes from the first take. The other times it's a train wreck, you know, but that not knowing and that spontaneity and the fact that there are no marks and they don't know where to go and I don't block my scenes and they're trying to figure things out.
Right.
And I think there's a subconscious feeling of oh,
Do you
this feels
just
so
always
real.
have 2 or 3 cameras?
Yeah,
on?
I go with 2 cameras mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
If you had your way, there'd be 2 cameras going in every single shot.
I don't shoot movies without 2 cameras. I won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
That's pretty fucking great.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, the concept, it's literally like saying, okay, let's shoot one side of this podcast. Now, can you guys basically remember the last hour where you were, and let's shoot the other side?
Right.
Kill me.
Yeah.
We did it once. It's hard enough.
Yeah.
That's one thing I try to impart to my actors. It's like, I'm going to ask a lot of you. We're going to fail a lot. You're going to feel really vulnerable. You're going to feel embarrassed because a lot of the times it's going to feel like you're sucking. But somewhere between take 1 and 7, we're going to nail it, and then it's going to be over because you only have to get it once. I'll be there. I got a zoom lens,
Right.
and I promise you I will not be on my master shot while you're having your emotional breakdown.
Right.
If I'm wide, I'll fucking come right in and I'll get you. So just give it to me once and then we're done.
Are you camera operating as well?
Jay camera operates. I stay on 2 monitors. Jay is great on the camera. I am terrible on the camera. I've never learned how to use a camera. And I don't know if you have any older siblings or not, or if you're close with them.
2 years older. I'm not sure anyone's quite as close as you and your brother. Though.
It might
I've checked
be
the
that.
history book.
Yeah. But what Jay and I have been so inextricably linked at the hip that I don't know how to do some very basic things in the world because he's always been there to do them.
Wow.
Like, I can't assemble anything from a manual, like IKEA or anything, because
That's
he always
Jay's
did.
job.
That's Jay's job, And Jay does not know how to make decisions or move forward because I always do that for us, And I don't know how to vet things carefully and worry about things because Jay is doing that for me,
Right.
So it's a very odd,
and a lot of your
gaps.
Yeah, a lot of your stories are about the confusing and complex nature of family in general.
Yeah.
Does that also stem from that first $3 film experience of the way a writer would say, write what you know?
I think it does. I believe in the quote, like, no good filmmaker under the age of 30 makes a movie that's not autobiographical, And I'm 36 now, and I, generally speaking, up to this point, have tried to stay in my comfort zone, with relationship movies in general. That being said, our conversations over the last year have started to say, let's try and do what we do, but I want to put it in a genre movie and see what happens there, and we're toying with expanding that a little bit.
Right. All right. So in the case of Cyrus, which I love to pieces,
Thanks, man.
this is something that is brought to you. You pitched the money.
We pitched Fox Searchlight, the movie, with our producer, Michael Costigan. They loved the puffy chair. They wanted to work with us. And that was the biggest growing up experience I had making movies. That's the biggest jump I had, coming from a $15,000 feature like the puffy chair to a 6-some-odd million, studio movie. It was a studio light movie. It was Searchlight, but it was a studio.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
There's no more $6 million independent film.
Yeah.
There's a studio writing a check somewhere.
Yeah.
And the first learning curve for you there is it stress related? Is it pressure related?
The first one I learned is in the writing process. They bought the pitch, so I had to write them a script and get studio notes. Okay, so I went through the studio notes process. I thought when you got 7 notes, you had to respond in kind to 7 notes. 4 out of 7's fine.
Okay.
You got to just beat 50%. That's it.
No one had spent any time with you on how to deal with studio notes?
No, because if you haven't noticed it by now, I'm a very confident person when I'm speaking about what I believe in, and I think that can make people think that I know what I'm doing more than I actually do.
So they don't offer you advice?
So they don't offer me advice, because I don't put out the energy that says, help me.
Right.
I put out the energy that's kind of cocky, and it's like, I'm going to help you.
Get on board or get the fuck out of the way.
Exactly.
That's what I'm...
So I'm dealing with that in my own therapy sessions, but yeah, so I think I wasn't inviting that advice necessarily with my energy. I don't blame anybody for that.
Right.
It's just how I am.
And the research says that you admit some of that comes from the fact that your father is very sort of together and aggressive in his beliefs. Attorney, I think.
Yeah, he's a retired corporate attorney. He's amazing.
Was a killer.
Yeah, and he still is, and I love that in him. And it has proven an incredibly useful tool as I navigate this business a little bit.
And the yang to his yin would be your mom.
It was our mom, who's really soft and sweet and very creative and goofy and fun.
The goofy side.
Yeah, the
helped
goofy
a
side.
lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, therein lies a weird combination of
So no one even
personality
gave you
traits.
the very 101 basics of when you get notes, find the ones that are helpful, talk about them a lot, find the few that are the least helpful, do your best to avoid them,
Yeah.
and then those middle ones where they can't hurt or help you, just figure out a way to use them.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that stuff. So that was a little frustrating. But you know, Jay and I pride ourselves on being good in a room, you know, and I am. I'm very interested in people. I'm very interested in their ideas. I'm very open.
You were very good when you
collaborative.
walked in this room.
I was great, right?
Yeah, startling.
I mean, you saw it.
I did see it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to make of it,
Right,
because it was so good.
It was so fucking
I thought, did he sneak in the studio when no one was here? How does he know his way around? He went right to the desk.
He came right here. I was in here last night. I slept here.
Didn't want to know.
Yeah. And so...
Yeah, Billy Bob did do the same thing. And even greater to his credit, Billy Bob slept here the night after we finished. Yeah.
Because you had another 12-pack waiting for you?
Well.
Okay. Very good. I have no idea what we were talking about, but it was so fascinating.
Well, I like to jump around a little bit.
Yes.
But the idea of how to deal with notes from a studio the very first time, you get 7, you figure out how to use 4.
Yes.
You guys are great in the room.
Yeah, so we're good in the room, and I listened to them. And
By the way,
heard
in the
them.
room, how much are you at the forefront and Jay lets you
I
go?
always talk. Okay. I always talk. It's just the way we are, and it just works better that way. And Jay bails me out when I start to flail. Like when we're pitching stories, you know, he'll inevitably feel somewhere around minute 5 or 6.
You're starting to get off the track.
I'll start talking too fast and getting a little nervous, and I've lost something, and you know, and then he comes in. It's the dolphin trick, you know. One goes down and the other one comes up a little bit. You know?
Right.
But I tend to do a little bit more of it. So anyway, point being, I would hear out the executives, and I would listen to them, and I would validate their ideas, because that's what you do in relationships. You validate people's feelings. You don't shut them down.
I agree.
And yes, you do agree. Okay, you get this.
I do.
The problem is when you do that inside of a studio system, it doesn't do you any favors, because they perceive that as weakness.
Right.
And they perceive that as a lack of clear vision, because they're used to directors yelling and throwing things.
Wow.
You may have even seen one on a YouTube video with Lily Tomlin. That guy wins awards and gets big paychecks. He has a vision. He screams and yells. So one day, I accidentally lost my temper about a scene that was supposed to be reshot, or a scene that was supposed to be, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a ridiculous thing where we had a great performance, but like the throw pillows weren't right. So according to the studio I was working for at the time. And so I
saw dailies and said,
yeah, they're like, you should reshoot this. It looks too brown. It looks too down. Yeah, so I lost my shit, you know, and I started yelling, and my dad came out, and it was like this Jekyll and Hyde thing. And then the next day they backed off. And it was a really depressing but empowering lesson to learn, which is like...
Why was it depressing?
Because I really want to believe that the guy who listens and validates and has a civil conversation about something can win.
In life, yes. Maybe not so much in business.
Maybe not so much in a certain type of studio filmmaking environment. It's not always in life, you know?
But how great is that lesson to know that you can discern the difference between the little independent guerrilla, you control the universe, versus fatter check, better here, better there, better not so better.
And basically adjust your expectations accordingly, you know? Right. And so now I know, and Jay and I do play a little good cop, bad cop sometimes, you know. And to yell means you have vision, and you have clarity of vision, so they will leave you alone. So sometimes I do it, and I don't love that. I don't love bringing that side of my personality out, but I do understand more about the business now. I do understand why a studio is nervous and trying to safeguard their vision, because they're losing money too. And so I try to not vilify them for that, but just realize that, like, they're just doing their job. They're scared as shit they're going to get fired if they don't deliver the pretty-looking movie, so they can get women over 35 into the movie theater, which will ensure financial success for the film. I mean, all this shit is...
They've crunched numbers.
Yeah, they know what they're doing with this. So
they've crunched numbers that you don't have the time for.
I deal with that, you know? And I've bifurcated a couple of things in my life, in my creative life now. You know, like, I make a lot of money for my mortgage and my family and my kids' schools. doing writing jobs, adapting novels for people, or doing rewrite gigs and things where I can be a little bit more objective and just give them what they want, not be so emotional about something I might disagree with. And then I can go make Your Sister's Sister for $100,000 of my own money and do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Right. In that case, you've got the likes of Emily Blunt, who responds to a treatment, not a script.
Yes.
And do you have a pre-existing relationship, or how do you get Emily Blunt even to read a treatment?
Yeah. The first, here's the progression. A $3 short film that people like, then hopefully like a $5,000 feature film with no Emily Blunt, just the best actors you know. Once you have that, once you've shown your ability to make 80 to 90 minutes work and go to a film festival and have it bought and show up on DVD, then you have pretty much what you need to go get a movie star to be in that movie. Because you can then say, this only cost me $5,000 and this only got so far, but the only reason is because it didn't have you in it. And when you come to do this movie, we're going to have a beautiful creative process, and you're not going to get paid any money, but I'm going to give you a shit ton on the back end of this movie. And I promise you that you will make more money on this movie than you did on that last $10 million movie you made where they paid you scale because they didn't appreciate what you are. I'm going to give you 15% of this movie.
Right.
When we sell it, you're going to walk away with that. And so now I'm in a really cool position after having done that a few times where I can go to the agents when they're like, wait a minute, you're making a $75,000 movie and you want to cast Natalie Portman? Why do you think she's going to work for $100 a day? You know, and I'm like, well, here it is. This is the last movie we made, and this is what she'll make on it. And then I need her for 2 weeks because it's a short movie shoot. It's going to be a lot of creative freedom, and she just got off this terrible movie that nobody liked and she didn't like, and she could use something fun to do. You know, and that's an argument that works now.
Right. That's pretty great. Your guys' process of working together when you're writing. We've got that in the room. You're doing the pitching. Jay's doing the lifting and the separating. We've got the line producer who takes out a word perfect doc and writes down $200 for transportation. Yes. The actual writing, because they're not all just treatments.
Yes.
You guys actually write scripts together as well.
Yes.
What is that experience like for the two of you? And how much do you... Let me ask you in specifics. I like to throw up the first draft knowing that I'm going to rewrite the fuck out of it, and nothing I decide in the first draft really matters. So I'm not going to dwell on or waste any time with the first draft. I need a skeleton to put some shit on. What is your attack of that first draft?
The stories always begin orally with me and Jay. It sounds like I'm describing some Native American ritual, but it's an oral thing that happens on flights during our promotional tours, on Sunday mornings at our parents' house, when we're having lunch, whatever it is. And it usually begins with something that we're feeling in life or some person we know that's going through something, and it's a textural vibe. And then we start saying like, and imagine if like that person met Anne the way she was 5 years ago in Brooklyn. Jesus, those two would be explosive together, you know? And it just begins swirling in this discussion for a few months. And then once, I would say, the general story is broken down, not a beat-by-beat thing by any means, just this is what the world of the movie feels like and the relationships are, then Jay and I together start meeting more specifically about that movie.
You set out to actually...
Set out to make this into a script. And that first process is to get what the scenes are of the movie. And that usually doesn't take too long. Try to get a nice rock-solid structure to the film, which is, here are the 48 scenes of the film, all right? And those usually exist on a set of note cards, the names of the scenes, you know? Mark and Kevin meet for the podcast. Mark goes outside, and Kevin shows him his new car. They discuss it. Mark is pretty interested why he's so obsessed with this car. What kind of sadness is there inside of this man that makes... Okay, interesting. So, blah, blah, blah. So this is how it happens. Then we get... It's not, that didn't happen, but It could have happened, right?
You have a great imagination.
Right, okay. So then I take that and I do the barf draft that you just discussed, the vomit draft.
You do that.
I do the vomit draft. And we found that...
Because you're the one of the two of you that knows how to use Final Draft?
No, I don't know how to use Final Draft that well. I actually speak it into a dictaphone.
Genius. Barry Levinson's written every script that way.
That's how I do it, because if I can look at what I've just written, I will switch over into the critical part of my brain and hate myself for its lack of originality, and I will stop. But if I'm just barfing,
you're going forward.
I'm going forward.
Nothing can stop you.
It is a linear form. It is not a non-linear form, and non-linear gets you critical. You know, so
Who gets the wonderful task of taking those tapes and transcribing them? That's a barrel of laughs.
I hire that out. Yeah, I don't ask my friends to do that for me anymore. And so that takes me about 2 or 3 days of intense walking around the park and just hiking and just getting it out, you know. And so what I get out of that is...
But you need to get outdoors specifically? Or?
I like getting outdoors. It helps me a lot. So what I get out of that draft is terrible scene description that's really not eloquent and has a lot of likes and ums in it. I get characters that kind of all talk the same because I'm acting them out. But I get impeccable pacing because my body knows what scene needs to come next, and I inevitably change the form of that 48 scene structure along the way. I know when it's time to speed up. I know when it's time for that quiet, desperate conversation on the tree swing. I know when it's time for the montage. You just know because I've watched 1,000 movies 1,000 times.
Right.
And so I take that, and then I go into the critical part of my brain. And like you said, I've got this skeleton now that stands on its own. And it's not so hard for me to dig in and just say, okay, well, I'm going to revoice this character a little bit, and then put some eloquent scene description in there so that the actors and studio heads who read it will think we know what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. And do you enjoy the rewriting process?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
I'm
where
one of the few people that I know who likes it.
I'm in Nirvana when I'm the rewriting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can take your time and be specific, which is all any of it is.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So, and I actually enjoy the vomit draft too. I got to say, I generally enjoy the writing process.
Well, you don't get out much, and the vomit draft is a chance for you to get
Vomit
outside.
draft is for me to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to hike.
Yeah, it's nice.
You go to the dog park. No dog.
No dogs. We're allergic. It's a terrible thing.
Are you?
Yeah, it sucks.
You and the missus?
Yeah, both of us.
Cats too, or just the dog?
Cats too. Yeah. I want
Horses?
dogs for my kids. I'm allergic to horses. Katie is not.
Sea lions?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Wow. You just got me. We just had a breakthrough.
Interesting.
It's way easier when both of you are allergic to cats
Yeah.
and dogs. Because if it's one, then the resentment comes.
Yeah. You'll be divorced in 6 months.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, we go from rewrites, and how about casting? So now you've got a draft that you and your brother are happy with, and you think, we're ready for actors to read this, who we want. Do you put together wish lists? Do you let people pitch you ideas on who they think after reading your material would be great for you? Is it come into your mind when you're doing rewrites? Where do you start to filter in specific pieces of talent, as it were?
Well, in the old days,
back in the
40s, no, I was not alive then.
Okay.
No,
My misunderstanding.
No, the old days. I'm talking like 2005.
Beautiful.
Those are my old days. We wrote for our friends who were actors, and we wrote for their strengths and avoided their weaknesses, so that we could be careful in curating an independent film that would work.
Right.
So I wasn't saying like, oh, I'll just write this kind of part. I'd be like, I'm going to write this for my wife Katie because I know she'll nail it. I'm going to write this for me because I know how to do this well. This for my friend Rhett because he can do it well. Leaving no thing to chance. Right. Now it's a little different, and Jay and I are really fortunate in that we're obsessed with actors. We give all of our time and energy to them. Our movies don't look really great. They're not that interesting cinematically.
I'm not sure your cinematographers want to hear that.
They know it. They know it. I mean, they're there to serve our story. Right. We're zooming around all the time, and everybody's like, why do you guys zoom so much? I'm like, because I don't know where they're going, and I have to find them and catch them. It's a documentary. That's how we shoot. The upside of that is that actors love working in this environment, and they will come work with us for cheap because they know our obsession with them will usually tend towards making them look really good.
Better performances.
In general. So we've been very fortunate in the case of Cyrus. And also in the case of Jeff Who Lives at Home, where we got all our first choices. We went to them and said, this is what we want, and it works. And the casting process is usually an hour-long meeting where it's about 3 minutes of pleasantries, and then Jay and I kind of launch into it right away, and we say, here's what we want to be really clear about. I know our sets look like we're all smoking pot and drinking and having fun waving a camera around, but they are exhausting and they're grueling, and there are going to be terrible moments for you where you feel bad about yourself. And you have to be excited to discover what the movie is going to be rather than to exact some preconceived version of what the movie should be. And we try to be very, very clear about that. Like, this is going to be a process of discovery. And if you love this script as it is, and you prepare these lines in the mirror and are ready to come in to do that, we're going to have a terrible process. And if you can't let go of that, it's going to be terrible, because we're going to take the script that you like and we're going to throw it away and find something else. And usually they're up for it. But I've had a couple of meetings where they're like, I'm a theater person. Like, I like to prepare my script and I like my words, and that sounds awful to me. And I'm like, God bless you. Thank you for being honest, because you'd just be miserable.
Let's not waste each other's time.
Yeah, we'd kill each other,
Yeah.
And then I had one person who lied to me, and then we had a terrible time together. So,
Right.
yeah.
Said, I don't mind.
So this sounds great to get the part. And then we had a terrible time. So
It's interesting that's only happened once,
I got
though.
smarter, yeah. Usually I scare them away with it.
Because the old actor's adage is...
Say yes.
Not only that, but in the case of do you ride horseback, I got to saddle him in the
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
We are trained to say anything to get the job.
Yeah. It's only happened once.
That's remarkable.
I generally think an actor who is interested in looking good on camera and connecting with people are going to like our process,
Yeah.
which is probably why it only happened once.
But some are afraid. I mean, I've had some of the more revered actors I've ever met, when they hear that I started as a stand-up comedian, get sweats even talking about the possibility that they would have to stand on a stage without a script.
Yeah.
And it freaks them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any formal training as an actor. I'm not terribly proud of that, but it's a fact. Consequently, I learned from the greats on my feet while on the set.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to audition. That's what I had to learn how to do. Yeah.
I'm terrible.
I'm
I'm so terrible.
I
don't do it.
I finally went off on the whole process in my book, which will be in your gift bag when you leave here. Geniusly entitled "How I Slept My Way to the Middle." Available in every possible way you can get a book. But I went off on how ass backwards the design, and in fact designed to fail, of the audition process.
Interesting.
Because I went off in the book about it, and I look forward to your book report on that, just one passage alone. But the feeling you have as an actor when I offer you the part, when you bring that to set, that confidence, knowing that of all the actors on the planet, I wanted you, versus you're just another actor coming in. I have no interest whatsoever in you. It's now on you to prove to me in 3 minutes
why I should look at you right now, because I don't really want to.
Those couldn't be more opposite ends of the spectrum. It's a process that's designed to fail.
I think it's a really astute observation.
Well, but
I've
there's
never heard it said like that
some
before.
directors, Redford and others,
Really well done.
a lot. Thanks, but who don't even want to be in the room. They want everyone to go on tape. Please don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Putting everybody on tape for lead roles. We just want to sit in a room on our own and watch tapes and not have to look people in the eyes and say you're good when you're not, and so on.
I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, when you say you got your first choices, there must have been times, where you want to get an actor in a situation that you have a design for, Jonah Hill, John C. Reilly, what have you, of that level. So, what about? Are you still writing supporting roles for people you know, or are you in fact auditioning people for smaller parts?
Let's see, I auditioned some people. Well, right now, I mean, interesting. My brother and I are doing a show for HBO right now. So we're in the middle of the audition process right now. It's just in it last week, you know. And in that show, we did not write specifically for people.
So then you're auditioning
and
every-
TV is such a different thing because you're looking for someone for potentially 7 years.
Right.
And so, you know, I can't just be like, hey, Jonah, come be in this TV show. He's like, I don't want to be on a TV show.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more of a process of discovery. So what we do, and it's so exhausting. I'm kind of exhausted by it. I don't believe that you can truly see what a person is capable of by having them read a few pages for a casting director while you're not there. I just don't believe that. Okay. So I don't bring in like 300 people. I select first 20 or 25 people for each role that I think could be right and good. And then we read with each of them for a half hour. And we bring them in, and we read the scene, and we improvise the scene. Then if they did it poorly, I give them a very honest and real adjustment. And I try to be straight and just be like, it was interesting, but it was not right, so we got to go here, or it's just not working, you know? And I don't say, well, you're so great, because that doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, maybe if you didn't say it like that.
That's what my problem is.
Because it sounded a little condescending.
You're so great,
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Glad we found.
I sound like an 82-year-old man dying asthma. This is a problem.
Mr. Hibbert, is that the one on Family Guy?
Yeah.
No, on Family Guy, it's I can't remember.
The guy who's always going after Chris.
Oh,
the old guy with the teeth.
The old man, yeah.
Yes. So,
That's what you sound like. Anyways,
so we work through
you
it.
give them these honest.
And even if they were really good at it, I give them an adjustment just to see how they handle it, you know, and we read and I feel like that's as good of a chance as I can give someone to see, quote unquote, what they can do, you know. But still, it's an audition environment. People are stressed and nervous, and you know, it's hard, you know.
Right. Does it help to get them off page?
I find.
Yeah.
But I mean, not just in the audition process, all the time.
Two things. The character's name is Herbert, and second, it sounds like you're looking for a cheaper alternative to Jonah Hill for television.
No, I'm not.
That's not what you're looking for.
No.
All right.
Were you interested?
No, I just know some guys.
You know some guys?
Yeah, I was just going to try to help you out. That's all.
I got it.
The show's creator was asking you if you're interested, and your answer was no.
He's not interested.
No, I'm not. You know, I can't be tied down for that kind of time.
You
can't?
I can't.
Seems like you could.
No.
You don't really.
Let me be your friend here.
Really?
You could be tied down.
Really?
I do. I think it.
I think you're speaking for me a little bit, but
Yeah.
all right. He convinced. I'll do it. My friend convinced me to do you.
You know what? We've actually gone out to someone else, but there's another role in the show.
Is there?
That I could talk to you about? Smaller, but really pivotal.
Ooh.
We'll talk about
talk.
it.
Okay, great.
It doesn't have a name yet, but
That sounds good.
we're
That
gonna
sounds
we're gonna put one on there.
That name might be Sam.
The hell, it might be.
saying.
It might be.
And you're okay with me in second position?
Oh yeah,
Because I'm doing the other.
Yes, absolutely.
Cain and Abel, Shmain and Shmabel, I wrote down.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Where is it?
Pollock.
There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
Kevin Pollock.
You and your brother,
Gentlemen.
you mentioned the puffy chair. I wanted to get to it on the page.
Yes.
You cast your real life wife, Katie, who you've mentioned, who you guys are so great on the league,
Thank you.
as well as your mother and father, Cindy and Larry. So you know emotionally where to get these people, I'm assuming, has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in the case of people you know as well as your own parents, you know what sort of dynamic they organically bring
Yes.
and that the camera will absolutely capture. Be that as it may, working with family
Mm-hmm.
has all of its own family dynamics and complexities coming with it.
Yes.
Baggage that you will have with no other actors.
Yep.
So, what was the first day like with that? With if all of this is a learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
and so far you and your brother have benefited most from your biggest disasters.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do on day one with the family?
On the puffy chair.
Yeah.
Well, it was me and Jay and Katie. It is a scene that does not exist in the film anymore. We rewrote and reshot the first 15 minutes of the movie,
I'll say.
and we made a bad scene. And it was stilted, and we didn't know why. And it was a little terrifying because it was day one of 21.
It was day one.
Yeah. And we were like, well, this should be a good movie, and it's not.
Yeah, had you not yet decided maybe day one we give ourselves a break and always shoot things that are kind of easy?
Didn't know that yet. Was 25. Did not know what I was doing.
But you feel pretty strongly about it now. Day one should go a little easy?
Well, I got a whole other thing going on day one now. Okay. I have a day 0, which is we improvise and shoot a scene which is not in the script, which comes directly before the scene from day 1.
Great.
So that you can be prepared for it, even if it's boring as shit, and work out some kinks.
Right.
But we don't blow any of the surprises for day 1. Then we shoot day 1 because I shoot everything in chronological order in my movies. Because we are improvising, I like to be able to know that I can grow that character every minute.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's the only way to do it. It's a little more expensive. Financiers hate you for it.
Yeah.
I demand it on every movie because I can't predict that scene on page 78. By that point, the passive aggression is going to be at a 68, while the guilt will be at a 45. Fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know what it's going to be, so why don't I just build it? This is what happened last night. That's what I'm going to do now. I mean, that's just my thing.
Right.
Anyhow, to the point of your story, I do the day 0 shoot now, and then we shoot day 1. I always know I'm going to reshoot day 1 again on the last day of shooting. And I have never...
Did you know it on the puffy chair?
No, I did not know it on the puffy chair. I knew it for Cyrus and Jeff who lives at home.
Do you tell anyone?
No, but because you might get it, but I usually don't. You're usually just infinitely better, and you can then reverse engineer the entire tone and feeling of the movie to set it up correctly in your first 5 minutes, because you know where you stand.
Right.
You know, I didn't know how funny or serious Cyrus was going to be when I set out to make it. I didn't have a vision of this is going to be 1/2 comedy, 1/2 drama with this squirm factor. I was accepting a lot of what was naturally happening in the room and curating and herding as I went along, making sure it stayed in relatively correct boundaries. But
how much of what Jonah Hill's performance ends up being was on the page to begin with? Because it's one of the more sublimely creepy comedy, tragedy performances of the last 25 years.
I'm going to tell him you said that. Jonah, are you watching?
You can just tell him.
Jonah is wonderful, and he emails me probably every 2 months and says, thank you so much for changing my career with that role. He is an amazing, I was going to say kid, but he's not a kid anymore. He's an amazing guy. So Jonah brought a tremendous amount of that to life. The DNA of Cyrus did exist on the page, okay? It was
had to.
creepy, little weird, very precocious, homeschooled feeling, very good vocabulary, not quite sure how to use. The charm was there.
But that's performance.
And the sadness was supposed to be there too, of holy shit, just when you think you hate this kid, realize this is a homeschooled, fucked up little kid who's scared of losing his mom. Right. That was the goal for that character, How it was dialed up and down with level of what's creepy, what's funny, what's not, I did not try to control. I would just let that happen. Whatever was the most inspired and interesting thing to us is what we followed. So I really don't tonal manage in the shooting. I tonal manage in editing to try and make those 90 minutes play. But I just if it's going dark, let's go. We're going dark. Here we go. We're going dark. It's the most interesting thing. Let's just do it, Likewise, somebody's not in a crying mood today. It's not going to work.
So given your complete and utter joy and pain of this seat of your pants forward motion, when you are hired as an actor, will you only do things where there's some play? Because I saw in one of the interviews you mentioned, I don't know if there's any ill effect of you said it in print, it's out there, but I feel the same way about myself, having worked early in Aaron Sorkin's career before he decided he was Shakespeare, that the idea of Mamet's the greatest, but the whole thing of just say the words and and go home. So if it's all about play for you as a filmmaker, and it's all about discovery, I beyond take 3, I just hear myself acting. So I'm thrilled at the real magic usually happens in the first take thing. So as an actor, how often do you work where it's scripted within an inch of its life and you're going to do it exactly the way someone else's vision suggests?
Not that often. I certainly have done it more than a few times.
I mean, how much are you improvising on The League?
The League is shot from 8-page outlines. There's no script. So everything is improvised.
It's your perfect job.
It's great for me.
For TV?
For TV, it's the best job in the world because I'm there for 2.5, 3 months of the year, helps to pay my mortgage, and I'm with Nick Kroll and Paul Scheer and my wife and Steve Renazzisi and John LaJoie, and then they add Mantzoukas into the mix. And it's just like, okay, great.
This is horrible.
You know? Yeah, this is horrible, you know? So that is great. On the movies that my brother and I direct, full free latitude. Safety Not Guaranteed, a fantastic script, like really, really well written, but lacked a couple of core emotional connection scenes. The scene on the beach where I'm on the log talking to her about what happened to her mother in the film, a lot of that was improvised from my side. The scene where we're in the car just after we've been to the weapons factory is where I ask her about the song in her life. That was completely improvised in the moment because the scene we were doing wasn't working. And those are things that I really love doing because I spent a lot of time with Aubrey up there, and I knew Plaza well enough to know that she loved that song. And it just so happened when we were at lunch one day, when she started talking about that song, the whole cynicism and sarcasm just like went away from her. And I was like, there's something about Plaza and this song. And so while we were in that car, and there was supposed to be a big connective moment, it wasn't happening, I was like, if I start talking about the song, it's going to come. I just know it. And like, bam, it was just like that, you know? So I always ask for that kind of latitude. Greenberg with Noah Baumbach, Noah likes his words, and he writes great scripts, you know? I mean, they're silly dysfunctional and borderline dystopian, but when I was in the scenes with Ben at the breakfast table that we do together, it was like, guys, fucking do the script, you know? And we did it, and then Ben and I asked for 2 takes afterwards to go off a little bit. He was more than excited to give us that, and he used some of that and some of ours, you know? So I try to ask for a little bit to loosen up, even in Zero Dark 30, which was an incredible amount of international data banter. I improvised more than half of that in the way it happened, and Gandolfini improvised back with me. Because I asked Mark Bowl and Catherine, the director, afterwards, I was like, does this feel a little stilted after the first take? I was like, I kind of feel like we're doing 24 or something. And they were like, yeah, it's not quite right. And so I got maybe more information about the compound and the description of it, so I started fumbling through it in the takes as if I hadn't prepared it all. And then it got really interesting, you know? And then I threw things at Gandolfini he wasn't prepared to answer. So there's this one little moment where he's like, can't you put like a camera in one of these trees or something like that? And it was like, it just felt so great, you know? So I'm always asking for that from the directors. And I think to a certain degree, I do get hired on the movies where they are inherently interested in that kind of thing because my reputation precedes me a little bit. I haven't heard from Aaron Sorkin. He's not calling me.
Right.
There may be a reason for that.
Well, I'm wondering, has anything trickled down to you in the like of, yeah, he's great. I love him when I watch him. But it sounds like if he doesn't get to play and improvise. In other words, there's a lot of actors who
Noah asked me that question before I did Greenberg, because we were friendly as filmmakers, you know, and he's just like, I like my script, so I just want to make sure that we're cool with this, you know.
And you had to say.
And my answer is, absolutely, this is great. I would like to know, conversely, if we're making a steaming pile of shit, that we will be fluid enough to find something a little different that works. He said, absolutely, great, that's all I need to know. So my general approach is just like, it is fair to say that more than 50% of movies suck, right?
Yes.
Okay, so more than 50% of movies suck. And usually the reason is because you're sticking to some preconceived notion of what it should be, and you're not being fluid to accept what is working in the moment. So if we accept that principle, all I'm asking for is the possibility, if we end up in that 50 where a moment's not good, to try something else. And I will always give you what you ask for, and always give you what you want. And I could very well be wrong. It could feel bad to me, but it's going to work in post. I have been wrong before. But I just asked for a shot to try something else.
And on that note, my friend, I'm going to ask you to try something else.
Uh-huh.
We have something on the show where we invite the audience in to ask a few questions
I'm so ready for this.
specifically designed for you.
I love this.
This first batch of questions comes a series of 5 questions. They will be Coke or Pepsi, this or that, no correct answer, completely opinions.
Okay.
They're designed for you by your own fans that have contacted us through the Twitter or the Facebook. And we call these line of questionings Tweet 5.
T5, T5,
Fucking son of a bitch.
T5 forever now.
Love me some Keckner.
Man, I love the Keck.
This comes to you from @Badlands75, because that's a Twitter handle. Puffy chair or Cyrus? These are Sophie's choice. I'm sorry.
I mean, that is brutal.
Just deal with it.
Yeah. Puffy chair.
The League or the Mindy Project?
The League.
Spend less time on that, by the way. Star Wars or Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
Paul Scheer or Nick Kroll?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, actually, there's a gun to one of their heads.
My babies. Paul Kroll.
Is the correct answer. Comedy or sports?
Sports.
Ooh, so close.
So close.
Sports.
So close to perfect
So
score.
close to perfect score.
Sports, guys. Sports.
And what is your sport of choice as a spectator
Oh, that's a good question. Track and field.
and a participant?
And a participant?
The same?
Not much. Not much. I'm pretty artsy-fartsy.
The bowling league might work.
No.
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 Not a chance.
No. Running. Yeah.
Running.
Yeah.
This question comes to you from @Christopher_H. Coen Brothers or P.T. Anderson?
Coen Brothers.
Shiva or Academy Award?
Academy Award.
Jason Segel, Red Helms?
Jesus Christ, people.
And I'm not going to allow you to say Jason Helms. There's a gun to one of their heads and they must go.
I have to save Ed because he has a girlfriend. Jason can
Not
go.
only do I thank you for the honesty and the truth, but also the time
Yeah.
that you gave that.
Yeah.
It means
So Ed plays the banjo.
Ed plays a
Jason
mean
just
ass
plays the
banjo.
piano.
I would have given it the backup as a reason.
Yeah.
But the girlfriend aspect,
It's very sweet.
well, it's all heart. Hornets or the Pelicans?
Oh my God. Pelicans.
OBGYN or midwifery?
Midwifery.
That, of course, refers to this wonderful opportunity for you and your brother Jay to act side by side.
Yes.
A first for both of you, but acting on camera almost, I think it was maybe a first for him in the network world, was it?
Oh yeah.
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 You had done, now by network, of course, because let's face it, FX is a network as well. We're talking about the big four,
Yeah.
maybe would
Yeah.
they be
Yeah.
still
I had never
considered?
done anything big like on the what people call network. Yeah, those things.
Right. And the story goes, according to the dossier, that you were fans of Mindy's. You guys called her in for just a general. We love you. We'd love to work together at some point.
Yeah.
And then this role kind of trickled down. And there was a part of the two brothers as the midwifery. And was it you or she that said, Jay might be good for the other?
It was Mindy's idea, and I loved it immediately. We've never acted together on screen before, so that was great. But I think Mindy is smart enough to take the temperature of me and Jay. Mindy is a very astute student of the human condition, and she knew a certain thing about our dynamic that would make it funny on screen, which is I am a caretaker, just inherently. I'm one of those Atlas type people who's just trying to take care of people and protect them.
Sure.
And she saw that in my relationship with Jay, and it turned into a very extreme version for the show, which I think
nice.
was funny.
And fun to play.
And fun to play. And I think that, Mindy's following her bliss right now. She's just like, I like you people. Come on to my show. It's a very, it's not an intellectual process. It's kind of a gut process for her. She had no proof at all that Jay would be capable of doing something on camera. And surprisingly enough, you know, networks are, they don't approve guest stars very easily. They want to know everything about who's being cast, and they didn't even blink about letting her cast Jay, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it speaks also to their a trust of her and her creative choices and her comedic.
And Jay's got a great beard.
Does he?
Yeah.
A great beard?
It's a great beard.
Or a solid beard?
No, it's a great beard. It's a great beard. It's a great beard. Don't you fucking talk about my brother's beard. I told you I was a caretaker.
No.
Yeah, Jay's beard? We'll get there.
Why did your brother do a documentary about me in 2011 without my permission?
Excellent question. Because at the time, you were black, you were working for the UPS, and you were a musician.
A great musician.
Great musician.
If I may.
Yeah.
Tell me what you can about the Skeleton Twins, the Bill Hader, the Kristen Wiig.
Yes. Well, we love the Bill. We love the Kristen. This is a filmmaker named Craig Johnson, who I made a film with a few years back called True Adolescence. He wrote a very funny, very sad story about two twins who have become estranged and come back together randomly while near the day that they both randomly try to commit suicide. It is very beautiful. It's very funny. And anytime filmmakers, again, like I said before, come to me and say, like, I'm not getting this made for that $10 million thing. Can you help me get $25 to make this thing? I am all about it. So they shot it in upstate New York a few months ago, and they're editing, and I'm very hopeful.
That's pretty fantastic. And Hader, you got to get some human...
Dude, wait till you see Hader in this movie. I mean, if you know him at all, you know he's capable of much more than the faces that you've seen on Saturday Night Live. But you still get nervous, like, can they do it on camera, you know? It's incredible.
Well, I do know from my own personal time in the trenches of doing voices and characters, and also being a student of the greats that come through the SNL curtain, that there are some who are great technicians when doing voices and characters, and there are some that go so deep, Phil Hartman comes to mind, that even when they're sixth lead in the sketch, they're mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And Hader is that every time at the plate. So
he loves people too, and you can talk to him for hours about the intricacies of people, and that to me is a key component to at least the type of performers I'm looking for. You know, he's fascinated by all these little human nuances, and so you know, we haven't even seen a cut of the film yet, but just in watching dailies, I think it's going to be great for him.
That's pretty great. We've talked a little bit about the love of Nick Kroll.
I love me some Nicky.
You had a good experience with Catherine, it sounds like. Lawrence Kasdan.
Ms. Bigelow?
Hello.
Ms. Bigelow, yes, I had a great experience with her. She is a very gentle spirit, believe it or not. I don't know if you've ever met her, but she is, I don't know, I saw the pictures with like the boots and the black jeans and the black hat and the tight black shirts, and she...
And the war movies.
She made Point Break and the war stuff. I was like, oh, she's going to intimidate me, you know, and I...
Break you.
When I met her, break you. Yeah, when I met her, it was just... Mark, I just love your quality so much, and I'm so happy to have you in this movie. It's so exciting, and I was like, this is not what I expected. And Mark Bowl, the writer, is the hard ass, and he's brilliant, and she is brilliant. That's why they're such a great team.
Right.
But she's a total sweetie pie. She's great.
Lawrence Kasdan.
Yes.
How many times did you see Silverado?
Ooh, saw Silverado in the movie theater when it came out with my Uncle Danny and my brother. Really enjoyed it. Did not know that Richard Jenkins was in that movie. Great cameo. Totally overacted, and admittedly by him. There's a good story about that.
I can't get enough of the John Cleese in that film.
Oh.
What's all this thing? Oh my goodness.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And he kept the Cleese. He didn't try to erase the Cleese. He's just like, Cleese in a Western?
Yeah.
Let's just be Cleese.
Yeah.
Let's just Cleese it up. Learned a lot from Lawrence Kasdan, who is kind of a filmmaker father figure to me, and without knowing it. And when he asked me to be in that movie, obviously it was as much about being in the film as it was the life experience of being with all those great actors in the movie. It was Diane Wiest and Diane Keaton and Kevin Kline and Richard Jenkins and Sam Shepard. You know, it was pretty huge for me. I got to live with them all for 6 weeks up at Park City. And Kasdan likes his words too. So he's like, well, I don't know about that improvising shit you do. Like, I like my words, so let's stick here. You feel comfortable with that? And I said, sure. You know. So we started doing some table reads, you know, and I started messing around a little bit, you know. He's like, what are you doing there, you know? And this is one scene. I just said, look, I got to be honest with you. Like, I feel like I know what you're trying to do with this love interest part, but I do feel like at least we should have one version where we know very clearly what's happening here, and that my character should take one more aggressive step towards this woman and declare himself a little more clearly. Like, we should have this, you know. And he said, okay, what would you say, you know? So I went into this improv. It was about, you know, maybe 40 seconds long, you know. Not bad. About how, you know, she should consider us because, you know, her character feels our relationship is doomed, you know. And it's very fumbly and very human, and I thought I did a really good job, you know. And he's like, all right, that's good. That's good. But it's way too many words. You don't need all those words, you know. And he kind of thought about what I said, and he said, you should just say, I don't see disaster. You know, and I was like, that's the guy who wrote Colorado and Body Heat. And, you know, and I was like, it was huge for me, this concept of efficiency and this concept of pre-planning those things, which I don't normally believe in. And I was like, okay, maybe when I get older, I'll get control of my movies a little bit more, and I'll be able to exact those kinds of things.
Well, I don't know that it's just that. I think it's you found a comfort place where you mentioned that Mindy had this following her bliss. And I think as filmmakers, the lesson that I take away from today, and thank you for spending a couple of hours with us, is however you discover your place in the sun, be it through a disastrous first movie followed by a $3 launch, however you find it, the fact that you guys were able to see it and not just immediately go, well, that went great, now let's do this other giant thing again like we thought we wanted to find it and see it and be it and believe it, and now it's you, now it's a part of you, now it's how you, I think, most enjoy the process. So it makes 100% sense. So I don't know that, no question with the evolution of you as a storyteller.
There'll be something.
There'll be versions of it. And that's a great example of someone saying an economy of words. Don't be afraid of an economy of words. If you can get all of that across in these two words, try that as an actor. And then you went, fuck.
Good job, Lawrence Kasdan.
So that's pretty great.
Yeah, he's going to go write another Star Wars movie. Apparently he knows some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a reboot happening still the same time next year?
Same time next year, yes. That's been very fun to do, actually, because if you've seen the original Same Time Next Year film, very interesting concept, kind of schmaltzy and sweet, you know, like the film. But it's now 2013. We know what affairs are. We know what divorce is. We hit things more head on. We're more of a therapy culture, I think, to a certain degree. And so we're just going deep, dark, funny with it. And it's really fantastic.
That's exciting as hell. Yeah. Because there is a through line that you like to avoid cynicism.
Yeah, I really, I am somewhat of a cynical person, in that I do realize I am jaded and I'm a pragmatic person. Like, I'm willing to use workarounds and say, okay, a studio's like this, fuck it, that's what studios are, I'll work around it. That's the cynic in me and the pragmatic person in me. Right. But my favorite movie in the whole world is this documentary American movie. And Mark Borchardt is this drunken, terrible father, would-be filmmaker, who is about as eloquent and attractive as a rice cake. And he's my hero because his heart is enormous and he strives for things even though he knows he probably won't attain them. And that to me was what I tried to bring to Safety Not Guaranteed. It's what I try to bring to Jeff and Jeff Who Lives at Home. And I don't know what it is. I want to be a believer. I want to go down with the ship, you know, kind of fist raised, and it's I have a sense of humor about it too. I don't take it too seriously because those guys are kind of losers, but they're beautiful to me.
All of that also plays into why I stand by It's a Wonderful Life as a perfect film. Just a perfect film from beginning to end. And no place for cynicism at all. And
It's a Wonderful Life as a reference will be showing up in a piece of art of mine within the next 12 months. It's already been written in, so you'll appreciate it when it shows up.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Improviser. As we come to the conclusion,
The book is closed.
I ask each guest to offer up their Larry King game, which I will now explain to you the rules of.
Okay, great.
But it involves basically you improvising into that camera when the time is right. These are the rules to the Larry King game. I don't know if you ever saw his show on the CNN, but one of our favorite things was that moment when Larry would, before going to the phones, offer a little something about himself. And it was always too much information moment, basically.
Yeah.
So the three rules are, first, I want a bad Larry King impression. I don't want a good one. A good Larry King impression is boring.
Okay.
I want a really bad Larry King impression.
Got it.
So there's no pressure
Great.
to make it good. Secondly, give me that little buffer of Larry sharing something too much about himself. This isn't about you. This is really you lost in Larry King.
I'm being Larry King,
So
and
talk
I'm
about-
Larry sharing something about myself.
Right.
Great.
Your
Love
first
that.
ride on a pterodactyl, whatever
Great.
it is.
Yep.
And then go to the phones. And when you go to the phones, the name of the city needs to be kind of funny to you. Shall I give you the prototype of these three elements?
Nope.
Excellent.
Prototypes are terrible.
There's your camera.
They don't help.
No, sir.
Hi there. I'm Larry King. Being Howard Cosell, again as Larry King, I'm here today to tell you something about myself that I've never told anyone before. When I was a little boy, I was in the shower and I found something. It looked like a penis, but it wasn't a penis. It was something smaller. It was something thinner. It was something less exciting to me than I hoped it would be. When I became a man, I showed that to a woman in Times Square. She told me, "That's not a penis." I said, "I already know that. I discovered that in the shower when I was a little boy." She said, "Then why did you show it to me? You should be ashamed of yourself." And I said, "There's no such thing as shame in Times Square." Let's go to the phones. Hello there, Ryan from Chaskatoa. I will not show it to you right now, Ryan. There has also been some minor reconstructive surgery. There's no shame in Times Square.
That, ladies and Jews, is how you get it done. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And not just for that.
All right, fair
For the
enough.
entire 2 hours. Honestly
Lovely.
and truly.
Very fun.
Sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the folks at home and
Excellent.
around the shores, the ship
Excellent.
to sea. Join us next Sunday for Johnny Favreau is going to stop by. That son of a bitch. And talk about all things Favreau. Enjoy us on the Earwolf. We're so damn excited about this new union. I want to thank J-Mac for withstanding being in the studio. He's rarely inside. He enjoys the outside part. Like a caged animal, he did his damnedest and pulled through a champ. Justin and Josh out there running the ship, the mothership. David Mandel, who's been our intern these last 2 shows and added to the credits. He did such a wonderful job. Samantha Ward back on makeup. Thank you for that, hon. Elaine Ewing doing our social media gathering. Jamie, Sammy, thank you both as always.
Pleasure.
And I believe that wraps up this particular version of what we call a show. So then, until next time, and as always, get out of my face.